In this video, we're going to be talking about turning $1,000 into $1 million in cryptocurrency. And we're going to talk about how do you actually do that? We're going to talk about some examples of this 1,000 to 1 million. And we're going to talk about the realities and the probabilities of this actually happening. Now, just to show you proof that this is in fact possible, right? You hear about these stories of people starting with really tiny amounts and then them going on to make like millions of dollars. This is possible. Like, I'll just let you know. For example, my partner, Lee Ryder, some of you guys know him as Crypto Didact. If you don't know him, then you need to follow our Instagram, Blue Edge Crypto. I have him on there occasionally. But basically, Lee, he actually got into Bitcoin before even you can see it on the price here. He actually got into Bitcoin right when it was first getting priced in like 2009, 2010, and he bought it for just over 1 penny. Okay, so obviously, if you had bought Bitcoin just over 1 penny and you held on to this, at this point, it's well over 1,000x, right? It's like well over 1,000x. But the chances are that you heard about Bitcoin back in 2009 and held all the way through and made 1,000x. Chances are very slim. Even Lee, somebody that, had over 5,000 Bitcoin at his possession at one point, and he told me these stories about how he used to play this game called Satoshi Dice, where basically they'd play dice games with his friends and they'd bet 100 to 200 Bitcoin per dice roll, if you can imagine. And this was back before you could even buy Bitcoin on an exchange, right? You had to spin up a node to even get it. Right now, in this sort of scenario, yes, it's possible to become a millionaire from just $1,000, right? But again, the chance of you hearing about Bitcoin at that time was probably really unlikely. Now, there are scenarios like with what's happened with ICOs, for example. Had you had gotten into these initial coin offerings, then you could have potentially had like this $1,000 to $1 million sort of scenario. If you take a look at BNB, for example, obviously the largest exchange, I guess, when it was initially coming in at like 15 cents, you could see that, you would be at like a 2,000x profit, which is pretty insane, or at its peak around 4,000x profit, which again, really crazy. The chances that you got in on this, again, pretty unlikely. Okay. Also in this video, I'm going to be talking about really the more realistic way to becoming a cryptocurrency millionaire with a small amount of money. So make sure that you stay tuned. NEO, same sort of example. I guess the ICO price was around 3.2x, and you could have done like 1,000x return on this, right? Have you had sold it at its peak, it would have been like a 5,000x, right? So every $1,000 would have been like $5 million in that case, which is pretty insane. Okay. A couple other examples, IOTA. Again, this was an ICO that basically ended up doing over 2,000x. If you managed to sell at the very high, it would have been a 10,000x, which is obviously, the chance of you doing that is slim to none. Ethereum, you guys are probably all familiar with Ethereum. Ethereum had an ICO back in 2014 and essentially initially came out at about 30 cents. So I guess current of this article, I don't know exactly when this was produced, but currently it'd be up about 6,500x. Or if you took it to an all-time high, which I guess was the all-time high as of the time making this video, was around 15,000x, right? And then the number one of all time ICO is NXT. And let's see, how did this one go? Basically, there would have been like 100,000x essentially, which is just insane, right? So, okay, so how do you catch these ICOs, or how do you do this, right? The chances are is that if you are going to go ahead and you're going to go into any of like the top 100 cryptocurrencies, then the chances of these things doing 1,000x, which would be $1,000 into $1 million, really slim, right? Like if you were to get into Bitcoin at $40,000 today, the chances of it 1,000xing, very unlikely, right? The market cap would have to be like out of this world. Even if you go to like the 100th by market cap, which is Anchor Protocol, which currently has a market cap of 680 million, 1,000 times 680 million. That is outrageous, right? So the chances of you actually turning $1,000 into $1 million with top coins like this, very unlikely. You really need to like gamble with like these really small market cap coins, which you can go in and you can put like filters in there, and you can find market cap coins that are like, really small market caps where, maybe it's like under $1 million market cap or something like this. But the reality is that this is really like gambling. The chances of you hitting this, very, very small. And in order to do that, you need to spend lots and lots of time researching, and likely you need to spread $1,000 across like 100 different bets, right? And maybe one of these does like the 1,000x that we're talking about here. So for most people, there's a better opportunity, which I'm going to talk about right now. Okay. And the reality is that you hear about these 1,000x gainers, right? And you hear about these stories, but you don't hear about all the people that lost, right? You're kind of like in this echo chamber where, yeah, of course, if somebody does 1,000x return, then everyone's going to talk about it, right? And you're going to hear that. And you're going to think it's more likely probable than it actually is. And you're not going to hear about all the people that bet $1,000 on these different ICOs and, lost all of their money or nearly all of their money. Okay. So with that being said, a more secure way to getting rich in cryptocurrencies, right? A couple things that you want to do, right, is to diversify your portfolio, right? It's fine to, have a small percentage. And this is, again, guys, this is like the get rich for sure versus like the get rich quick. It's fine to have a small percentage of your portfolio in like really, really small market cap coins. Again, these are the ones that are going to have the 10x, 100x potential, maybe in a rare scenario, 1,000x potential. It's okay to have a small percentage of your portfolio in that, but it should not be the majority of your portfolio. I think it's really safe to, bet on things like Bitcoin and Ethereum and some of the other like top 20 coins that do have the potential, right? We do think the market is going to go from about $2 trillion right now to $100 trillion. So that's like a 50x, which is pretty much unheard of. There's probably nowhere else in the world you're going to be able to get these sort of returns for the next decade. But to diversify it across like some of these top 20s, as well as some of the smaller cap market cap coins, some Bitcoin, Ethereum, having some stable coins in there. So that way you can go ahead and buy the dip. This is more than likely the best case scenario. Now, another really important thing that you can do is dollar cost average into the market. Okay. So this basically is a way that you can set and forget it. Like if you're using something like Coinbase or, whatever you're using, any broker that you're using, they're probably going to allow you to do some sort of automated dollar cost averaging. And this is really great because you don't even have to think about it, right? You just set whatever amount. Like I was talking to a girlfriend of ours yesterday that she was dollar cost averaging in, I think $100 every week into Bitcoin, right? And she set this up, she said it, forget it. And that's the game plan. Now, this is a really great idea. So you can continue to accumulate these assets, Bitcoin, Ethereum, some of maybe the top 20 coins that you're getting into. Okay. The next thing that you really want to do is to earn income on your different assets. So there's a lot of ways that you can earn on cryptocurrencies. If you're not familiar with the world of decentralized finance and how you can stake or how you can provide liquidity or lend your assets, go to www.blueedgecrypto.com/DeFi. I put together this 4-part series basically teaching you the basics of how to put your crypto assets to work. So that way they're not just sitting there, but they're actually earning you passive income and earning you more crypto. So there's different things that you can do, right? You can stake your cryptocurrency. You can provide liquidity. And you can also lend your cryptocurrencies out. You can a lot of the times earn anywhere from like 10 to 30% pretty frequently across the market on your crypto assets. So this is another way to continue to grow this portfolio. And I know this is maybe not the sexiest thing in the world. You guys were really hoping, how do I do the $1,000 to $1 million? Again, it is possible. Just being real with you, it's very, very unlikely and it's very risky. So the safer route into doing this is to basically diversify your portfolio, dollar cost average into blue chip cryptocurrencies, as well as to stake and lend your cryptocurrencies and to provide liquidity. So that way you can earn interest on your cryptocurrencies. So if this video is helpful, then go ahead and check out some of the other videos that we've made on our channel that I know will help make your trading easy, lucrative, and fun.